So, I had to go back through some Elder Scrolls lore, and I'm on the PlayStation, so I'm streaming. I might do get on the PC and do some evidence and comparison from the teaser trailer because it was vague. It was very, very vague. Um, and there was kind of a lot. I'm doing my scrying. I got a level of this. But anyway, so I was like, I was looking, and I was like, it totally looks like we're going to Pandonia. It totally does, because there was a part of the clip where there was a serpent. There's like a trident and then a serpent's emblem on the armor. Now that's kind of very important to understand because that's the icon for the Sea Elves. That's their flag. Like, the Ebonheart pack has the dragon. The DC has the lion, and of course we know AD, but that region has the serpent. Now, I'm not going to give a lot of spoilers, but I think it's kind of important to understand why that's significant. Because the three ships, all three alliances at one time did come together to defend against that, nation. So it's kind of interesting. I was like, it looks like, is that going to introduce a new race? It looks like it. Yo, Ross, what's up? How you doing? How you doing, Ross? Thanks for stopping in, brother. But yeah, it looks like Pyandonea. It looks like that's the whole the Breton armor, though. I think that's to kind of indicate we're getting ancient Breton. So I do see that happening. I'm good to hear, brother. But yeah, it looks like Pyandonea. It looks like that's where we're going. So I'm actually anticipating a new race. Actually, I was like, I don't if they introduce the Sea Elves, because if we're going there, we're gonna be introduced to the Sea Elves, right? We will be. Is it going to be a playable race? Probably. There's a 50-50 chance, but more than likely, it could be very, very, like Daedra. We don't get to play Daedra, but it could be in the same element that we're not going to be able to, because there's like lore behind, that as well. But I was like, interesting, because I saw a video with Zilla pointing out the trident, and he zoomed in. I was like, okay. And I saw the serpent. I couldn't make it out. But once you see the serpent, that is the icon of the Sea Elves. It is. We know it's an island. Actually, people debate it. It's, in its essence, some people would actually consider it a small continent, like kind of like Australia, in that essence. But yeah, no, it totally looks like we're going to. Yeah, it looks like it for sure. So, a couple of the theories that I'm definitely, I don't know who the protagonist or what the story is going to be. That's going to be a whole other question within itself. But yeah, no. Yeah, I was like, okie day. Or we're probably going to get a new race. Now, what's the quality of life change? That's the only thing I want to know. Because if we get we'll get some prelude. We know it's the same schedule, right? I mean, we know that. But I mean, what's this all mean? I mean, that becomes the question when it comes to how's this going to be integrated into the lore? or into the game design. I think we're going to definitely get a water-based environment for a trial. Obviously, I mean, I don't think we need to second guess it more than that. But yeah, I was like, okay, ZeniMax, okay. You guys are really going on. Now, do I think there's going to be a PvP? Any new PvP features? I do not. I do not. I don't. I don't anticipate it. I don't mean to break people's hearts, but really, I do not see it happening. Why? Because Rich has kind of give us a spoiler ahead of time on that. I think there are some ships. I don't know if it's going to be that we'll be able to see, ship battles per se, but will we have accessibility to ships? I think for like fast travel or something. I don't think we're going to be able to maybe explore the open sea, and if we do, it'll be limited to that area. Because it's also interesting if you guys go take a look at that lore. The island itself is hard to penetrate. It's hard because of all of the cliffs and rocks around it. So there's like lore about navigating that terrain just to get inside the island itself. Now, I do recommend people go check out lore on this. Because there's a lot to it. There really is, and I think that's cool. Like I said, I might put together and reference a couple of content creators who specialize in lore for Elder Scrolls in general. And I always like watching some of the videos because they go over so many things, right? And because picking up lore in this game or not just this game, but in Elder Scrolls in general, is very, very, you have to look you've got to sift through things. Not just within each game, but other sources as well. So my from all the evidence that's been collected from the video by multiple people, and it's been speculated by other people, but yeah, I agree. I think we're going to Pyandonea. I think we're going to see the Sea Elves. It's probably going to be a playable race. If it is a playable race, are we getting an extra character slot, or are we getting a race change token? That becomes my only question now. It's my only question. It becomes my only question now is, are we going to be able to do that? So the mag game is dead, huh? No, it's not dead. They'll still run, like, players will still justify mag over stam. It doesn't matter how much DPS stam's dealing over mag. That doesn't matter. I was just making a video to point out that in comparison, one of the primary excuses has always been mag deals more damage. It's going to be up to guilds like HOTOR to decide if they shake it up, right? If they really are going to shake it up, because if they wanted to, they could. That's the point. Say people could say what they will, but it's going to be up to guilds like that to say, oh yeah, we're not running that anymore. It'll be up to them. Okay. And if they do that, I wouldn't be surprised. And I actually think there's going to be a lot more players who are going to be looking at potentially putting in other classes depending on their race and their supportability. Because you can't just use like something like, okay, we're going to be using whatever the fuck, Master Architect for Major Slayer, or you know, this set, because you can now do that with Stam as well now. And with War, like you do War Machine if you wanted to. Actually, War Machine on Magtoons isn't a bad thing either if you wanted to technically get the medium. You know, there's a lot of things going on. So composition's always going to differ, right? Oh shit, no, 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 no. But yeah, yeah. I was looking up lore last night, and I was like, the serpent. That is the you know, the icon. That's the flag. It is. And I was like, well, I'm like, I don't know what's up with the Breton stuff, the Breton armor, but you know, that one's the throat twist for me. I'm like, but you know, seeing the cliff and the boats coming up, it all made sense. So ships potentially, if we do, it'll have limitation. You know, are we going to see Navy battles? I don't think we're going to see PvP, any PvP updates. And people are like, we're going to wipe out Cyrodiil. They're going to remove Cyrodiil. I don't think you can at this point. You know, that even if people wanted to say that in theory, you can't do that because Imperial City PvP zone is centered in the middle of Cyrodiil. So what? You're going to have Imperial City without Cyrodiil? Okay. No. You know, I mean, could they take it offline? I don't think it would be in their best benefit to do so, to be honest with you. I mean, yeah, I mean, performance sucks, but players are now still struggling to find something to do, let alone, you know what I'm saying? So I don't think Cyrodiil's getting taken offline. People are like, well, take it offline. You know, I like it when people call PvPers toxic, and I'm like, PvE community's just as toxic, and in my opinion, maybe even worse, because everybody's got to play PvE. To even PvPers have to play PvE. There, you know what I'm saying? That's, you know, but it's just not newer player friendly. Nobody's playing their, you know, designed role. You come in as a new player, you're kind of like, you know, what's the point? You know? So I think they need to lift the difficulty up, to be honest with you. But, yeah. You know, I was looking at this stuff up, and I was like, yeah, the serpent. It's a dead giveaway. I think that's the biggest giveaway. The trident, and good on Zilla for zooming in and catching that. You know, good on Zilla for that. So I was like, as soon as I seen that, it was just another. I was like, yeah, yep, yipper. And I thought it was very vague. I think the devs did a good job. Well, I mean, obviously we'll get more confirmation, you know, at some point. But you know, from everything that we're seeing currently, it looks like it. Okay. Yep. Though I will say it's going to be interesting. I think Zoss always does good. I'm really hoping we get more lore out of it though. But yeah, I was like, oh my. I'm like, you know, because I didn't get to see Deltia's. I kind of pay attention to Zilla in a lot of ways because I PvP. And you know, I'm like, you know what? I mean, it's kind of nice to get somebody's, you know, as they're picking things apart too. The more you can kind of, you know, coordinate with what other people are speculating, that's not a bad thing, you know, in these type of scenarios. So as soon as I seen him zoom in on that trident, I was like, yep, that's where we're going. That is where we're going. Because there's two different areas, we could have potentially been heading, and I was like, but the serpent, yeah. If there's any icon of a serpent, there's only it basically you got to think about it in the essence of the of each of the alliances. The dragon for the Ebonheart, the lion for DC, the phoenix or firebird or whatever for the AD, the Dominion, or the eagle. I mean, or whatever, the bird. I can never distinguish which type of bird it is, but yeah. And then when you see that sea serpent, that's what it is. That is exactly what it is. So, yep, we're going to Pyandonea. Now, it'll be kind of interesting, like I said, if we get a new race. I think it'll be more interesting because of the fact is what are we getting out of that? If sea elves become playable, if they are playable, are we getting a character slot, or are we getting race change tokens? New race, new class. I don't think we get a new class. I don't see that one. I wish. I don't think we get a new class. Race was one thing too. I think that was something, but class, I don't see it. I'd like to see a new skill line before a new class, actually. I would rather see new skill lines than a new class. I think that would be way more important right now than a new class. A new race is cool. To throw in a new race right about now, I think that's actually cool. I think that alone goes a long way. But the problem we always get in this game are players who are going to pick apart that race. Like, right? Because we have Imperial, but Imperial is optional. It's not part of the base game. It's, a separate whatever. And a lot of people do not play Imperial, though Imperial has strengths, right? They really, really do. I cannot believe there wasn't a purple whatever on this. Oh my god. As you guys can see, I have a lot. I could be whatever. But yeah. No, man. I honestly, I was just thinking that. I was like, I could go to Glen, but, Gold Coast, Garotwood. Was just that green shade, but I didn't finish that. Okay. Small board 4. I don't know. Stormhaven's not too bad. We'll go Stormhaven. Screw it. But yeah, I totally think I would. I mean, not to say that I'm opposed to a new class. I just don't think we're gonna get it. And I was like, even if, let's say we get introduced to the Sea Elves, and are they going to be playable? I think they would be. But I think a lot of people would pick it apart. I just think a lot of people will be like, well, it scales unless it says spell and weapon damage. If they have it, I'd like to see spell, weapon damage, recovery. And then, of course, their unique trait. Now, would we get potentially a water damage type? That's something I would be interested in. A new elemental damage. Because we have ice, we have fire, we have lightning. We don't have any water based. Imagine that. If it is Sea Elves, they have elemental properties to water. So, could we see a new damage type? That, to me, would be worth the content alone. A new playable race and a new damage type. That would be epic. That would be as good as a skill line. You know? That, because we have Magicka too. So we have Magicka, Lightning, you know. But to see water? That, to me, would be interesting. I would die to see it. I'm not even going to lie. If somebody said, we're getting water type element, I would be like, shut up. Shut up. Shut up. I would probably just go nutty. It would be epic. I'm not even going to lie. That, to me, would make everything worth it to get a new damage type. Of course, because we in resistance. Okay, hold on. All right, so let's go to the character sheet here, and let's go to advance. We see fire resistance, frost, disease, bleed. We see poison, magicka, and shock. But you see this? We could have one more across. And that could be water. If that's... We could see water damage type. So, new race, Pyandonea, serpents there. And could we see potential water damage? That would be killer for me. Like I said, I would rather see a new skill line, new damage type. That would be epic. Holy shit, that would be epic. Right? New spell. The spells would also... Your spells would be very whatever. Based on... Oh, I don't even know why I went the long... Why am I doing that? I take the way shrine. But anyways, yeah. A water damage would be epic. Because it would change also the staff's looks, animation. That would... And I don't think a lot of people would maybe appreciate the work that goes in on that. But there's a lot of work. Because they'd have to add to all the existing effects. And I think that would be totally, like, awesome. You know, I'm like, whoa, what? I would freak. I would freak. I'm speculating on that. You know, I'm reaching on that one, in my opinion. New race, wait. It would be amazing. I think the Sea Elf should introduce the water damage. Should. Yeah. And I think it would. I think it would, to be honest with you. So if we are going there, we get a new race. And we get what? Water damage. Like I said, ships, if we get ships, and I'm not saying that that's not going to happen. It's going to have limitation. It's going to have that. We know it is. There's no way I'm going to be able to just park my ship up. Can you imagine the server problem? We already got server problems. Could you imagine if people could just come to Bankarai and just, you know, start putting their boats in the water or something? Holy fuck. We'd be fucked. I really hope they add to the companions. That's another thing. You introduced it. Do not bail on it. You know, if you introduced it, bring in new companions. You know, that's something that should be now every year a minimum of 2 companions being added. There's no reason not to be adding new companions. There's no reason not to now. You don't introduce something and then just say, we're not going to do anything with it, you know, now. It's like, why? You know? I mean, I don't know when they would put it in, but they need to. They need to. So, I think that they need to work on the skill line itself, though. I think that's something that needs to be done in its entirety. So... But yeah, I definitely agree. I think if they introduce the sea elves, we get water damage. I would freak. I would be like, oh! Imagine the PvP shit that would be introduced. Oh my god. And I'd be curious too. You know, what kind of debuff? Because if they added water, are we looking at a debuff effect like Frost Staff? Or are we looking at, and how would the skills like, okay, let's get into this if they introduce water damage. Okay, we know to be under Destruction Staff. We know all the properties in here would be subjected to the type of staff. That also leads us into new weapons to farm, like Water Staff. Right? So we have a Lightning Staff, we have Flame Staff, Inferno Staff, we have Ice Staff, and we have Water Staff. We have a new weapon type to farm up. Force Shock deals all of the elemental damages. So would we see water being added to this and the adjustment if once again we're speculating, if water was to be introduced? An ability like Force Shock would change. Also, we would be taking a look at things like the Tri-Focus being quad focus now. No longer tri, it would be like a quad, right? Because the only thing about it is it would change properties. You know, Lightning Staff heavy attacks have splash damage. Fully charged Ice Staffs apply shield. You know, fully charged Infernos attacks deal 12 additional damage. So what would water do? Simple. What would be our water? Ancient Knowledge passives. Imagine adding water to this. How would it apply? We have single target, we have AoEs, and we have, you know, block capability. So are we looking at, you know, if we have single target and AoE, right? Could we look at damage over time? Could we see a damage over time effect being added by 10% with water? That's what I'm talking about. Like, it opens up. If they introduce water damage, there are a ton of possibilities how our modifiers will be affected. And that's pretty impressive to me. That is very, very impressive if we get sea elves and we get water damage. I'm speculating. Once again, this is all speculation. But I'm more than 90% sure that's the island we're going to. Question of it is, are we getting a new playable race? And are we getting a new damage type? Based on that. You know, like, I got to give it up to Zilla for the Trident. I did not pay attention to that. But the water, notice the stairs too. He's stepping on what? Water. On the stairs. Inside the building. I'm telling you, I'm saying new playable race and water damage. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. And I would like to see new skill line. If they brought out water damage, could we get a new weapon skill line for stamina? Possibly. If it is, tridents or pole arms, right? It's a pole arm. I've been asking for pole arms forever. And that would be fucking epic if we got pole arm. If we got a pole arm for stamina and water staffs for magicka, holy spliff. Holy spliff kebab. Because let's hypothetically talk about that. Okay. So we have the 2H, we have the sword and board, we have dual wield, we have bow, and each one of them have their own contributing effect, right? You know, as far as passives. Like, I don't have any of these unlocked, but, you know we're going to get reduction. Usually there's a reduction passive. Usually there's, you know, some sort of whatever. Unless, I mean, even in the sword and board, right? Even in sword and board, we get reduction. We would get increased weapon and spell. So I anticipate we get a, you know, something along the lines. But would it be have a defensive capability, or once again, would we see something along the line of the 2H, where we're getting it based on the type of polearm? You know, where you have maces, swords, and axes, right? Polearms, you got like halberd, trident, or something else, and those could be affected if we get polearm, right? All of those would be affected. So I'm honestly going to say a lot of people would be unhappy if we get water damage and stamina didn't get something in return as well. And new skill lines like polearm and water staff added with sea elves, that would be we wouldn't see an a chapter like this since Somerset in the introduction of jewelry crafting. We wouldn't. This would be as epic. This would be as epic as that. Those three things alone would make this chapter probably one of the best chapters that we've seen since Somerset. Especially if they add ships, knowing though we have limitations. And if we do get ships, I would call that right away. We would have limitations. There's no way, like I'm in Stormhaven, people would be pulling up to the zone in their ships. I'm telling you this. We would have a limitation if they introduce ships. It's just the way it is. You know, that's the nature of the beast. Like, you know, like I remember when WoW introduced flying mounts. We were limited to the zone at first. Now eventually could they do it? Yeah. But at first, when we first got flying mounts in World of Warcraft, we could only use them in that zone. Even Final Fantasy, your flying mount is limited to unlocking it in that zone. You cannot fly from zone to zone. Once you unlock it in that zone, you can use it. So we would have that same kind of principle being applied to ships in this game if they introduce ship travel. We could basically use it as a fast travel. It's a means of fast traveling. You know what I'm saying? So if we get ships instead of way shrines, we could use ships for fast travel. Our own personal ship for a fast travel. If they introduce ship. So, yeah. But yeah, I'm more than positive that's where we're heading. Because of the serpent. I'm like, well shit, they kind of give it away just by the if there's a serpent on that breastplate, that's where we're going. If there's a serpent on that breastplate, that's a tell. That's a tell within itself. Trident, new weapon type, polearms, water, new damage type. So, and then ships. And if we get ships, then yeah. It's going to be a fast travel method. It's going to be a new and a lot of people would try to maybe underplay that, but honestly, they shouldn't. There's so much work that goes into that stuff. It's ungodly. It's ungodly how much work the devs have to put in for things like that. And I'll be honest, I would appreciate every fucking moment of it. I would freak just to even hear. But, you know, my biggest thing is, once again, okay, if it's a new race, if it is, are we getting a slot, or are we getting a character, you know, a race change token? You know, that's it. That's all I want to know. I wouldn't mind seeing resistance, spell damage, and a recovery for its passives. You know. And then, of course, it would probably get the pole arm increase, like Redguard gets Sword and Board. Like, people downplay Redguard, and nobody plays Redguard. I play Redguard for my tanks now. I love Redguard on tank. I love it. I absolutely adore Redguard for tanking. Nord is great. Imperial's great tanks. Argonian, always a great tank. Argonian is great tanking. So I would like to see that trifecta be introduced, because it's always about the trifecta, right? That's why there's a number of 3, you know, that keeps coming up in Elder Scrolls. You know, we have 3 roles. We have 3. Each class gets 3 skill lines. You have, you know, a lot of association with the number 3. The 3 factions. There's always an accordance to 3. Now, I think if they introduce the elves, would it be a playable faction? No. I think that they, you know, each of these independent, like, you're not going to add a 4th faction to Cyrodiil. I don't think that would be the case. But you would be able to, you know, faction, could they add a 4th faction? That, you know, that would add the PvP element. I don't see it, because usually all on the lore in the past with the Sea Elves, usually there's alliances to combat them. That's why they kind of do it. So it'll be interesting as far as lore, and I really hope they bring the lore with this. That's one thing I hope they don't skim on, because Somerset had some of the best individual story-driven line to it. I felt like it was very well done as far as the storyline, and reintroducing us to some of the characters from the base game. I really liked it, and I really hope that this introduces us to lore that, you know, Elder Scroll fans have been wanting to dive more into, like, you know, the history behind this race, what caused things like that would go a long way in the community. Little things like, how did the Sea Elves become separate from, you know, definitely more confirmation within that storyline, or, you know, bits and pieces. That would that would be epic. Actually, I would be like, oh, I did not know that. That's kind of, because those are what people dig for. Elder Scroll fans, like lore junkies, they're digging for that. You know, they want to know, well, what caused this race to? Was the island a part of something? You know what I'm saying? We could go round and round with all that type of stuff, but yeah, I was just like, but good on. Like I said, I wasn't too sure. I was speculating. I mean, I knew it was an island, but, you know, I knew it wasn't the other continent over on the one side, because I'm like, there's no way we're going there. That's uninhabitable. No fucking way we're going there. You know, there's just no way. We're not heading that direction. And then someone's like, you know, we're probably heading opposite of the Somerset. I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense to me wholeheartedly, because, if we can't head in the other direction. It's uninhabitable at this particular moment in time, I believe. So if we're heading over here, there's two primary islands, or continents, or whatever you want to call it, and we're either going up here or we're going down here. And then the serpent has been seen on the plate, and then Zilla spotted the trident. Now, what I'd like to see Zilla do, and once it confirms, this is what I think Zilla should do, because this is more like his line of content, is if there's confirmation that we're getting new weapon types, I would like to see Zilla, once we're allowed to, play with builds and how the new weapon types would apply to PvP. I think Zilla would do great in that. I think Zilla is one of those things that could we, still use hybrid building for this approach? Would we, focus in on, 2H? Once again, all those passives are going to differ, but I think that's where Zilla's going to come in. And Zilla's really going to kind of say, yeah, this is what we're looking at, totally. And I really hope it goes that way. But yeah, this would be the one of the, now once again, your performance, we have that reoccurring theme that's kind of been plaguing us a little bit. God, and I really hope Microsoft makes some big announcement about performance, because if we don't get that, a lot of people are going to be very drawn back. It would be bad. It would be really bad. I'd be like, it doesn't matter how much you put in if people cannot play the game, right? Like this morning, I literally spent a lot of load time. I was starting to freeze up, starting to do things, but now it's gotten a little better again, and I'm like, fuck. So every game has it to an extent, but this game, it gets a little bit more tiresome. It does get frustrating. So, yep. I'm kind of excited though. I'm not even gonna lie. I was like, you know what? Good Zos, if this is where we're going and that's what we're doing, oh yeah. Good on ya. Good on ya. This would be big. Not gonna lie. Yo, what's up? What's up, Pirates? Tavern Gaming, what you doing? How you doing? Yeah, no, I think that's what's gonna happen. So, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. God, it would be huge. It would be very massive. It would be, and I think it would go well with players too. To be honest with you, I think that's another perk. Like I said, new class. I don't see that. I just don't. I don't think it. Could we see another class in a year from now? Yeah, but the question of it is what class based on lore, right? There's a lot of things. I don't think a lot of people really realize what the devs have to go through just to confirm that something can be added to this game, right? Because of canon. This game, I believe you and me, I have nothing but appreciation for that. When they added the dragons, they did it right. And because it's not an awakening, one could argue it's a dragon break. You can't change canon. You can't change what's canon and what's not in the Elder Scrolls. Even the Elder Scrolls, though it can change, it's subjected to change. The scrolls are. They do have, kind of a precognitive ability is the Elder Scrolls. That's why the Moth Priests go blind reading them, right? So, You get the moth priests that just they read the scrolls and they eventually all go blind from reading the Elder Scrolls. And you know, there's everything, you know, is subjected to canon. So question of it is, if we add a new playable class, if there's a new class introduced based on what canon, you know, that's the question now. It's not about, you know, can they add it? They can add anything they want, but is it canon? They could literally, you know, say, we're going to add a berserker. Yeah, but is that canon? You know? That's the question. That's the only question that matters. Is it canon? If it is not canon, it is not coming in this game. It will never see light of day if it is not canon. It won't. It will never see light of day if it's not canon. And that's the only thing we have to kind of question as players is on this game, is what can we anticipate based on what is and isn't canon. Okay. Okay, it is one of those little bags. Or not. Ooh, luckily I got it. Anyways, I want to end the stream here. But yeah, I think that's where we're going. Hold on. What new class would or could they give us that would be canon? You got me on that one. I'd have to look that up. I'd have to dig on that one. I would have to dig. Because that's the question. I think that's always the question. You know, what's going to be allowed and what isn't. You know? I mean, I like it when people want to say things and like, you know, we want this, we want that. I agree, but this is Elder Scrolls. This is way different in that element. You know, we're not just going to be like, we want this and we deserve it, so make it happen. You know, it's got to be somewhat, you know, because this is a prequel to every Elder Scrolls title, and you have to understand whatever they put in this game is set as lore, as canon, as lore, as fact for the Elder Scrolls universe. Whatever they put in here, this is the prequel to every, and it can be picked apart. It can be ridiculed. It can be completely denounced. The whole franchise could be fucking scrubbed based on bullshit, because there are lore junkies in this game. Nothing but there are players who play just this game to grab lore to add to their, you know, and they would pick it apart. They would. I don't think a lot of, you know, as Neff would like to call casual toxic, you know, the lore community would rip it apart, and it would. And it's like, are you really going to, you know, draw the ire of the lore community? No, that's not going to happen. Let's get real. You know, you're definitely not going to, you know, denounce. That's like doing everything that fucking Marvel and them do right now. Hey, we're just going to remake Spider-Man for the 5th or 6th time. You know, right? I mean, what's the harm? We'll just keep reinventing it. You know? The same thing with Star Wars and Disney. Oh, well, that's the Legends is no longer canon. We're gonna scrub the books that, you know, had what happened to Luke and everything, and the twins. Remember, if you actually read the book, Han and Leia had twins. But when Disney took over, no, 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 that never happened. That never happened. No, that's not what's ever going to happen in this game. I can promise you that. People would be like, it's junk. We might as well just scrub the Elder Scrolls from this point on. You know, like I said, the only thing that Elder Scrolls is allowed, or to have discrepancies, are dragon breaks, which are whatever. But I think that's a way around canon, right? That's how Rich and them were able to put dragons in this game, essentially. You know, being able to put something that trapped the dragons, initially, and introduce them, because now you have a dragon break that doesn't contradict the process of the awakening in the life cycle of the dragons. So essentially that's what they did, and they did it excellent. I mean, without compromising anything. It was brilliant, actually. So yeah. But to see this island being introduced, if it is, because once again the serpent, you know, that, everything, it's kind of correlating. It is. I think we get a new playable race, and now the speculation is, if we get a new playable race, are we getting race change tokens? We're getting a new character slot, one of the two, and if that is the case, are we getting new skill line or new weapon types? And that would be interesting for me. That would be, I mean, I think the biggest thing about it is once again the tri-focus. We have a tri-type, theme going on, and with destruction staff, we see that reminder of tri-focus, and that would no longer appear if water damage was to be implemented. But I think we don't need to have everything associated into the three. We have the three skill lines for each class. We have the three roles. We have the three. There's always, the reference to the three. The living tribunal, the tri. There's always an association with the number 3 in Elder Scrolls. But, I think it's going to be cool. We'll find out on the 27th for sure, and I think regardless what happens, it's going to be awesome. All right, no botting. Anyways, thank you guys for stopping in. We'll find out. Let's keep our fingers crossed. As always, have a nice day.